That's like terrible. You know what I mean? This is not going to go well. That's what he said. And so as much as I always had hope, and when Eric was in remission, I was there as like, let's celebrate. This is wonderful. You're amazing. Let's do this. But I couldn't forget hearing that in my head, that a specialist of those sorts would say it would probably come back. And that's what happened.
Eric Carr's death rocked the Kiss family and left a lasting impact on everyone who knew him. I'm Paul Stevenson from VRP Rocks, and I spoke exclusively with Bruce Kulick, who recalled Eric's courageous battle for life and his determination to remain part of the band that he loved. From personal memories to stories of Eric's musical legacy, Bruce shared heartfelt insights that shed new light on this incredible musician. I hope you don't mind touching on Eric Carr. I heard you say in the past that you sometimes dream of him and you still have that connection. You feel him watching over you. I mean, it must have been a very difficult time for everyone involved with the band, because obviously he was fighting for his life, wasn't he? And he was desperate to still be part of the
Yeah.
group as well. He still wanted to be in the band. So how hard was that for everybody involved at that time?
It was, a tragedy, and obviously, with him being that young, in his early 40s and passing away at 41, and the news just got worse and worse. We finished the Hot in the Shade tour. Usually, everybody just goes off to their own, lives for a bit before whatever we're going to do next. And I remember by March of the following year in '91. We had a conversation that I don't know, I have this chest infection, it won't go away. I got to get, I got to see the doctor. And then that goes into, oh, they think they see something. Now I got to have, exploratory surgery or something. And then all of a sudden they find that he had cancer on his heart, which is very rare, very dangerous. Okay. And it was a nightmare for everybody, and everybody had to deal with it in their own way. But uh, and then privately, I mean, I knew of a radiologist. I used to talk to him. I'm sure Paul talked to doctor people too, and they were like, that's like terrible. You know what I mean? This is not going to go well. That's what he said. And so as much as I always had hope, and when Eric was in remission, I was there as like, let's celebrate. This is wonderful. You're amazing. Let's do this. But I couldn't forget hearing that in my head, that a specialist of those sorts would say it would probably come back. And that's what happened, of course, sadly. And we lost him because of it. And I'm so happy that he was involved to a certain extent on Revenge by doing the video of God Gave.
Yeah.
And I have this incredible recording of only the voices. I use it, I show it at clinics when I perform,
Oh, wow.
where you really hear Eric's voice in there, in that quiet part where everyone's singing gently, God gave rock and roll to you. What a tremendous artist. Now, I've stayed very positive. One other note before I get into everything else I did in honor of Eric was the fact that we had to do Carr Jam. The band decided, well, there's this drum solo from this riff that he worked on with Ace that was never really released. Let's bring this out, redo it. And I was the first one back to work after the funeral, which was actually therapy, because everybody was shattered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just completely shattered. The next thing I know, took a little while until you digest everything, and then years later, of course, the family. I used to work on this cartoon music with Eric and other songs that we hoped to be included on Kiss albums that they chose not to do, and we were able to put out a record called Rockology, which was his stuff. Great music, and some of it's just rougher, demo versions where he's just scatting and everything. And then there's been other things, and I've worked very hard with his sister Loretta on keeping his memory alive through some of these songs that he wrote. And there might be even more to come. We are always looking for ways to celebrate his life and career and his talent. So I've been certainly a part of his, continued legacy, shall I say. Even on Union, there was a song called Dear Friend, and it was written with lyrics for Eric, for losing him. I hear thunder. It was about his drums and stuff like that. So he's so loved by the fans, and he deserves every bit of it. He was somewhat tortured on his own thing, but he was the most giving to the fans. And he had more talent than Gene and Paul allowed him to do, okay, which happens. But I know that Gene and Paul were very respectful of his musical contributions, his drumming, his vocals, and how he can contribute. And occasionally he got involved with the songs. You know, we had a song called Little Caesar, which was like, you know, connected to him. So he's just someone that I always carry him in my heart. I do, and I have a soft spot for him. And the fans know that he had a real impact in those years. And another unusual thing was the fact that yes, he was in makeup for a little while, and then of course I got to be with him without the makeup. So he's one of the that's unusual, obviously. You know, yeah, Vinny for a hot minute was both. You know what I mean? But it was just for a short period. Eric walked into the Elder actually, which is really crazy. But then Creatures of the Night, wow, you know what I mean? And Lick It Up, wow. So at least he got to show what a drum sound. Everybody wants that, right? Stuff like what Love It Loud sounds like and things like that. So what a great career he did have, but gone way too soon at 41. And Loretto waves the flag really hard, and he's collected everything, you know. And you should see the amount of photos. Loretto and I have been very cool with helping to archive everything together because it's safer that way. I'm always telling anyone out there watching, back up. You got family pictures, scan them, get all your family members to get them. You know what I mean? Because if you lose them because, God forbid, a flood, a hurricane, or a natural disaster or whatever, or the house burns down, come on. What are you going to do? Then you only have your memories with these pictures or music or tapes or whatever they are. They can be protected and put in the cloud, shall I say, right? Put in the safe. Okay. So everything we find and anything that ever comes up from Eric, we see as gold. And I'm obviously always appreciative when someone shares a picture of me when I'm, you know, like one of my first groups or something like that. I love it. So yeah, the memory of Eric lives on, thankfully.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing the special memories.